The Galactic Military Academy's firing range buzzed with nervous energy as decent hits, but nothing exceptional. Daisy remained motionless, her eye pressed to her rifle's scope. She seemed oblivious to the mockery around her as misses and near misses accumulated on her scorecard. Other cadets were already halfway through their allotted targets while she had yet to fire a single shot. "What's she even doing?" whispered Jack, though he recognized the behavior. He'd seen it countless times during their hunting expeditions. Through her scope, Daisy watched and waited. She observed wind patterns by studying the movement of debris across the field. She noted how the artificial gravity fluctuations affected projectile drop. Most importantly, she began to read the rhythm of the environmental changes, identifying the pattern that the computer systems used to cycle through different planetary conditions. When she finally fired, the crack of her rifle cut through the whine of energy weapons like thunder through a storm. Target eliminated. Center massing 47M. The mockery quieted slightly, but the other cadets dismissed it as luck. Daisy worked her bolt action, a manual process that seemed absurdly slow compared to the rapid-fire energy weapons around her. She fired again. Another target down. Perfect headshot. 654M. By her fifth shot, the firing range had grown noticeably quieter. Cadets from 17 different species prepared for their final marksmanship evaluation. Jack Martinez adjusted his standard-issue plasma rifle, its sleek alien design still feeling foreign in his human hands after 6 months of training. Beside him, Daisy Chen knelt on the ground, methodically arranging what looked like an ancient projectile weapon alongside an array of seemingly primitive accessories. "Look at the human female," chittered Zixcar, a mantis-like Thean, whose compound eyes glittered with amusement. Still clinging to her barbaric kinetic weapons, several other cadets joined in the mockery. The towering Goranian Thul next let out a rumbling laugh that shook the reinforced floor. Chemical propulsion and metal projectiles, how delightfully primitive. Perhaps she should use rocks next. Daisy didn't flinch at their comments. She continued her meticulous setup, adjusting the bipod legs of her rifle with practiced precision. The weapon was undeniably human in origin, a heavily modified long-range precision rifle that looked ancient compared to the sleek energy weapons carried by every other cadet, while others wielded plasma cannons and photon blasters. She had somehow convinced the academy to allow her Earth-A rifle for the evaluation. Jack watched his friend work, recognizing the focused calm that settled over her whenever she handled firearms. They had grown up in the same sector of New Austin Colony, where hunting the massive thorn beasts required patience, precision, and respect for every shot. When humanity had been invited to join the Galactic Defense Force, both had jumped at the chance to prove their species' worth among the stars. "Attention cadetses," announced Instructor, a distinguished Alarion whose blue skin bore the scars of countless battles. "Today's evaluation simulates long-range tactical scenarios you will encounter in real combat. Targets will appear at distances ranging from 500 to 2000 m. You have 30 minutes and unlimited ammunition. Your score depends on accuracy, target identification, and adaptation to changing conditions." The other cadets smirked as they hefted their advanced weapons. Plasma rifles could adjust their beam width and intensity with computer assistance. Photon blasters offered nearly instantaneous target acquisition. Daisy's rifle looked like a museum piece by comparison. Additionally, Velter continued, environmental conditions will shift throughout the evaluation. Gravity, atmospheric density, and weather patterns will fluctuate to simulate combat on different worlds. As the evaluation began, holographic targets materialized across the vast training field. The alien cadets opened fire immediately, their energy weapons humming and crackling as they sent streams of deadly light downrange. Scores flashed on the overhead display. Decent hits, but nothing exceptional. Daisy remained motionless, her eye pressed to her rifle's scope. She seemed oblivious to the mockery around her as misses and near misses accumulated on her scorecard. Other cadets were already halfway through their allotted targets while she had yet to fire a single shot. "What's she even doing?" whispered Jack, though he recognized the behavior. He'd seen it countless times during their hunting expeditions. Through her scope, Daisy watched and waited. She observed wind patterns by studying the movement of debris across the field. She noted how the artificial gravity fluctuations affected projectile drop. Most importantly, she began to read the rhythm of the environmental changes, identifying the pattern that the computer systems used to cycle through different planetary conditions. When she finally fired, the crack of her rifle cut through the whine of energy weapons like thunder through a storm. Target eliminated. Center massing 47M. The mockery quieted slightly, but the other cadets dismissed it as luck. Daisy worked her bolt action, a manual process that seemed absurdly slow compared to the rapid-fire energy weapons around her. She fired again. Another target down. Perfect headshot. 654 m. By her fifth shot, the firing range had grown noticeably quieter. Each bullet found its mark with mechanical precision, even as gravity shifted and artificial weather patterns swept across the training ground. While the other cadets struggled to recalibrate their weapons' computer systems for each environmental change, Daisy adapted instinctively, adjusting her aim based on decades of experience reading natural conditions. Instructor Velter moved closer, his trained eye studying Daisy's technique. He watched as she accounted for wind drift that her primitive rifle couldn't automatically calculate. He observed her breathing pattern, the way she fired at the natural pause between heartbeats. Most remarkably, he saw how she anticipated the environmental changes, firing not at where targets were, but where they would be when her bullets arrived. Impossible, muttered Zixer as Daisy's score climbed. How can she compete with such an archaic weapon? Belter's expression grew increasingly thoughtful. As a veteran of the Void Wars, he had served alongside warriors from across the galaxy. He recognized the subtle signs of truly elite training, the economy of movement, the absolute stillness between shots, the way she worked with her equipment rather than relying on its automation. With 5 minutes remaining, Daisy had the highest score on the board. Her final shot was a masterpiece, a target at maximum range, appearing for only 3 seconds during a windstorm simulation. The bullet traveled for nearly 4 seconds through shifting atmospheric conditions before finding its mark. Perfect score, the first in Academy history. The firing range fell silent except for the hum of ventilation systems. Instructor approached Daisy as she began breaking down her rifle with the same methodical care she had used to set it up. "Cadet Chen," Velter said quietly, his voice carrying in the sudden stillness, "where did you learn to shoot like that?" "Home, sir," Daisy replied simply. "My grandfather taught me." He learned from his grandfather. Beltar nodded slowly, understanding dawning in his ancient eyes. He had heard rumors about human military traditions, whispers from the outer colonies about specialized warriors who could perform impossible feats with primitive weapons. "Your grandfather," said, his voice dropping to barely above a whisper, but carrying clearly in the silence. "He was a ranger, wasn't he?" Daisy's hands paused in their work. She looked up at the instructor with quiet pride. "Yes, sir. Third-generation Earth Colonial Rangers." He said the rifle was just a tool. The real weapon was the mind behind it. Beltar straightened, his expression shifting to one of deep respect. Around the firing range, cadets from dozens of species stared in confusion. But Jack understood. He had heard the stories passed down in whispers on the frontier worlds. The Rangers were legend human warriors who could survive and fight in any environment, who treated every shot as if their lives depended on it, because they usually did. "Only Rangers train like that," Velter said loud enough for everyone to hear. "I should have recognized the signs earlier." As the implications sank in, the mockery died completely. They hadn't been watching a primitive human struggle with obsolete technology. They had witnessed a master craftsman at work, carrying forward traditions forged in the crucible of humanity's expansion into the hostile depths of space. In that moment, Daisy Chen became more than just another cadet. She became a reminder that sometimes the oldest ways were still the best ways, and that true skill could never be replaced by technology alone.